Welcome back to the Relius Reviews. Today's review is focused on Claws, Season 4, Episode 8, entitled Chapter 8, Reckoning. And here is my review on this episode. Episode 8 was another crazy episode, just like Episode 7. And somebody's about to get put on some shirts. Somebody's water is about to get cut off with how these last two episodes are about to be. Oh my God. So here we go. So episode 8 basically just starts off with Desna still feeling shocked after finding out that Tony is a DEA agent, and she becomes extremely frustrated at herself due to telling him some pretty incriminating evidence that could potentially get her locked up for a very long time. Sometime later, police have discovered George's body and everything, and word gets around back to everyone else about what happens. The next day, Desna tells the entire gang about Tony being police, and she says is that if anything were to happen, she would take the fall for everything, basically to prove how loyal she is, I guess. Meanwhile, Dean and Eve's relationship continue to become something bigger. And long story short, it seems as if like Dean is about to become a father, and Dean is extremely just worried about it as well due to his disability. But Eve doesn't care about none of that, as she knows that he's going to be a good father. And it's going to be an interesting story between Dean and Eve, to say the least. Jenn, in the meanwhile, has been spiraling out of control with the Oxycontin pills. And it seems as if like her water is about to get cut off because she just does the most in this episode. She ends up in the hospital unconscious, and once she wakes up, all hell breaks loose, to say the least, as everything gets exposed, as Desna finally knows the truth about Georgia being innocent all along, that she was not the one that was stealing all the pills. It was Jenn. And Virginia, because of it, just berates Desna for all of her faults and for just making her do this very dangerous decision of just her killing Georgia. Like, the friendship is strained permanently. Like, it's just bad all around. Uncle Daddy still has plans for Quiet Ann's baby and everything, as making the baby become the heir to his throne, as his plans becoming more and more crazier by the day. His dead wife is still giving him advice on what to do about Quiet Ann. Like, the whole situation between him and his dead wife is just freaky and just downright mind-boggling. Then we have a crazy, somewhat of a funny segment, like a Crankers Muppets fight scene between Desna and Quiet Ann, with all of the main characters and Muppets and everything else. Like, that was a little bit funny, to say the least, with that. But ever since losing Baron in that type of way in the very last episode, Polly is extremely heartbroken about it. But now she has to go to a meeting about Baron's estate with the rest of his family. And basically, Baron knew the entire time that Polly was faking her accent, and it didn't matter to him because he still liked her. And Polly basically gets a huge victory by getting a lot of just Baron's properties and everything else, and his kids not really receiving anything that important. Desna and Quiet Ann have a long conversation about everything, about Desna's faults, Desna actually admitting her mistakes and everything else. And it seems as if like they are about to be back on a good term, until Desna reveals that Tony is the DEA. And once that happens, it is just the same like it has always been between Desna and Quiet Ann, with Quiet Ann blaming Desna for all of her mistakes. And what can you say at this point between those two? Virginia visits Jenn at the hospital to talk, as both of them realize that Desna has become a toxic individual, manipulative, due to her making them do some pretty dangerous decisions. And at the same time, I get where they're coming from, But also, though, you can't really blame Desna for some of those decisions because y'all made those decisions with your own minds and everything else. Like, yeah, basically, because honestly, everyone in the entire gang and Quiet Ann, they are all pretty horrible people, as they have all done some pretty horrible, shady things. And Virginia and Jenn now have plans to basically get back at Desna, and I don't know what that could possibly mean. Bryce, he was all over this episode to me. Like, this man has a range of just different emotions. Like, he is slowly losing it as well. With Jenn in the hospital, he basically blames the entire gang for all of what's happened to them. And we see his story basically ending with him about to do something really, really stupid. The episode basically ends with just Quiet Ann talking to Tony and his friend at the DEA, and it seems as if like Ann is about to snitch on Desna and Uncle Daddy. Like, what can you say? Episode 8 to me was a good episode. Crazy like episode 7. The last two episodes are about to become really crazy to me, in my honest opinion. And I would say my predictions for the last two episodes, and I think is that I think one of the main cast, the main gang is going to die. I think that Quiet Ann might get killed and everything because we've seen what happens to her in the trailers. I don't think nobody is going to get a happy ending with the exception of Dean, Dr. Ken, and maybe Polly. I think that everyone else's ending is going to be probably sad and just dark as well. As for Tony, he's getting his water cut off, of course. Like, I don't see him making it out this season. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Episode 8 was crazy to me. So thank you for watching. And until next time, goodbye.